together. It is not easy to have these types of events. Sometimes we make it look easy, but it's not easy. It's not. And I want to thank all the persons who have worked to put the event together. This is important. And I also want to thank whomever it is that ordered the podiums. The podium big enough to put paper on.
Put the paper on.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Right. This is awesome. And I want to know where you find these podiums because I need a bigger podium. Okay. I know all these things are not important to you, but this is how we make it look easy when we have a podium that will allow us to display our particulars. Now, friends, let me start the press event. This is a great occasion. We are bringing tax dollars that emanated right here in Houston, Texas, back to Houston, Texas. Now, I don't ask you to applaud everything, but I do believe we should celebrate the fact that some 12 million of our tax dollars are coming home. So we do this quick. Dr. Sanchez was clapping loudly. He appreciates this more than we know. I'm honored also to be here today with a group of persons that I shall introduce in part, and they will have comments that they will make. But this is an important event because when these tax dollars are returned to our taxpayers, they are returned now in such a way that we can direct them. We can focus on given projects within a given community. Prior to the last couple of years, we have not been able to do this. We have had to have you lobby us in Washington, D.C., and try to get these monies brought home to you. And I'm proud to tell you that this process called community project funding is a process that works not only for the people in Washington, D.C., because it makes it easier for us to direct funding, but also for the recipients of these funds here in Houston, Texas. Now that's another applause line.
Yes.
Now, my press statement will be as follows. These federal dollars, $12,164,000, I might add, these federal dollars are essential for the future growth of the Institute of Forensic Sciences. The critical need for expansion arises from funeral home backlogs requiring prolonged preservation of deceased persons. This funding will help improve services and aid with facility expansion and upgrade DNA systems related to evidence intake and firearms identification. That's just some of what it will do. There are persons who are eminently qualified to give you a better explanation, and they will do so shortly. I do want to add one additional thing, if I may. I want to add this. This check for federal funding will be received to renovate, expand, and improve the existing Institute of Forensic Sciences building. These funds will benefit the rapidly growing Harris County population by consolidating the medical examiner and the crime laboratory services. This check will be presented today, a symbolic check I might add, at this location, and the actual check will follow in the not too distant future. With this said, let me add a couple of additional things about the funding itself. This is important. In FY 2022, there were about $9 billion in earmarks for about 5,000 projects across the country. In FY 22, the discretionary spending was $1.7 trillion, which means that this $9 billion for 5,000 projects was 0.53% of discretionary spending. 0.53%. That's the kind of equation that we're dealing with, such that we're not breaking the bank with this project. nor were we doing it with the some $5,000 projects across the country in 2022. In 2023, we accorded $15.3 billion in what we used to call earmarks, but what we now call community project funding for 7,000 projects, for a discretionary spending budget of $1.7 trillion. This is about 0.9% of the discretionary spending. So I'm just proud to tell you that in community project funding, with 22 and 23, we have been able to deliver, if you will, $63.27 million to our community right here in Houston, Texas. And this is the money that we have accorded by way of the 9th Congressional District. But my other colleagues have performed in a similar fashion. No one of us does all of this. It is just not the case. When these funds come to this city, all four of us who are Democrats, who are pushing for these funds, all four of us contribute to the work product that produces the funding of these projects. And we shouldn't forget this, that it takes a team effort to get this done. I'm proud to indicate to you that we have delivered some $63.27 million. But I'm also proud to tell you that I didn't do it by myself. And we ought not let people convince you that they can do it by themselves. We need the help not only of my colleagues, but we also need the help of people like Commissioner Ellis. People who can help us identify these projects, identify legitimate projects to be funded so that we can provide the services a growing metropolitan such as Houston, Texas really needs. And I say really needs because we are growing and the need grows with the growth. We need the Rodney Ellis's. We need the Dr. Sanchez's, persons who can help us identify these projects. But we also need you. We need you to let anybody that you know that you think can make a difference in this kind of funding, let them know that you want to see it continue. Why? Because there is a movement afoot to prevent these kinds of projects from coming to fruition with this type of process. We will go back to the process that would require you to convince someone in Washington, D.C., other than your congressperson, that there's a need for these funds. I think this process is the most efficacious way for us to deliver funding to the needs of our various congressional districts, understanding that we do it together. We do it together. So no one of us does it alone. Proud to tell you about the 63+ million coming into the 9th Congressional District, but I didn't do it by myself. We did it together. And until we start practicing this type of unity and acknowledging the unified effort, we are going to always have these projects separate and apart and on the chopping block. Because there are some people who just don't want to see this process continue. I am not one of them. I believe in this process. I hope you believe in this process. I know Senator, used to be a senator, Commissioner Ellis, former City Councilman Ellis, I know he believes in this process too, which is why I'm honored to have him now come forward and make his statements with regards to this money and however he would like to express himself in the continuation of community project funding. Please give a big expression of appreciation to our commissioner, former council member, former state senator, the Honorable Rodney Ellis.
Thank you. I first want to say how appreciative we are to have Congressman Al Green to represent us as part of this delegation. I have known him since I started my political career, before I started it, when I was a staffer for our mutual friend Congressman Leland. He was a justice of the peace, so we've been friends for a very long time. He does a great job. When we leave here today, unless something has changed, we're going to go look at some other projects. If he has time, if not, I'll grab it during the holidays. But Congressman, you do a great job, and we love you. I appreciate Congressman Al. As he said, it is important to protect this kind of funding. Sometimes they don't want to use the word earmarks. If you want to call them community projects, community designated projects, whatever. And you're right, Congressman, you are part of a team. I can't think of a better person to express that than someone who has the name Al Green. Because you've always been tired of being alone. And you know it's so much better when you're part of a team, so give him another warm round of applause. I want to thank Dr. Luis Arturo Sanchez, our Chief Medical Examiner and Executive Director of Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. I was taking a little tour. I was telling the staff, I noticed the bike lanes. Y'all be a little more protected, but on a beautiful day like this, and I happened to call a guy who was president of the Senate who asked me to carry legislation over a decade ago that helped create the Helix Center. They were showing me how important that is for us to follow the model of other places. And it was visionary on the part of the county to get this land, Doctor, and do it in this region. I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Milton Rahman, Executive Director of Harris County Engineering Department, and his team, because they're helping to build a more resilient Harris County, including helping us spend this money. Both of you come right on up here so they can see you. The Institute of Forensic Sciences does essential work, as the Congressman said, often thankless work to keep our health and justice systems moving. And people in this room, I don't get to see you and thank you enough, but you do a great job, and I know it's difficult. These are dedicated employees that provide high-quality medical examinations and crime lab analysis. And they have risen to every challenge, from increased examinations during the pandemic to a rising demand for forensic analysis and a resulting criminal case backlog that we're dealing with. Today, we're giving these public servants tools to increase their bandwidth through a $20 million investment in facility upgrades to our Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. Well, we couldn't do it without that $12 million that Congressman Al Green secured coming by way of a federal grant. This will expand capacity for our core county services, upgrading the DNA lab and relocating and expanding forensic science, a genetics lab. The new DNA lab will allow for staff growth and additional services. The relocation and expansion of the genetic laboratory will allow HCIFS to expand its DNA testing capabilities and remain a leading-edge laboratory. The project includes improved IT and operations to ensure a more reliable chain of custody of evidence. Additionally, this project will expand the morgue, which has outgrown its current capacity. The $20 million long-term investments is part of a comprehensive strategy to make Harris County safer and healthier, and our justice system fairer for everyone involved in it, from victims to those who are accused of a crime. Justice is deferred from time to time, and when it is deferred, it is oftentimes denied. Unfortunately, in Harris County, too often our justice system has been plagued with a criminal case backlog that has prevented speedy justice, which is unfair to victims and those incarcerated awaiting their day in court. This problem has existed for years, and you could point your fingers at several causes, including decades of neglect by many people who've been in positions of power in the past to invest in a comprehensive justice and safety system and infrastructure to help it. Hurricane Harvey devastated our criminal justice buildings and COVID-related delays in court hearings. But in Harris County, we're interested in doing something other than just giving excuses. We're interested in action. That's why Commissioners Court has invested millions, in addition to this 12 from the Congressman, additional visiting judges to help courts get through criminal case backlogs, associate judges to help courts resolve pretrial matters, freeing up judges and time for trials. Technology to make law enforcement body cam systems more efficient. Expansion of the jury operations during the pandemic. $2 million in ARPA funds, federal funds, thanks to the Congressman and his colleagues. ARPA funds for the Institute of Forensic Sciences to retain expert employees and help whittle down caseloads. Health-based diversion programs that prevent people from even entering the criminal justice system. And another investment in courts, law enforcement, and community-based programs to reduce backlogs. These efforts have helped us reduce the felony backlog by 55%, and that deserves a round of applause. And today we're building on that progress with a substantial investment from Congressman Al Green. Congressman, we're grateful, and I'm going to do everything I can, follow your lead and your colleagues to help us protect this source of funding. Now I think next we bring up Dr. Satcher.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, this is definitely a special day for Harris County. I've been here for 22 years. This is the first time that we gather as a group, as a family, to receive $12 million. So I want to start by extending my heartfelt gratitude to Congressman Al Green for his effort in securing this generous $12 million grant on behalf of the Institute of Forensic Sciences. I want to thank also Commissioner Rodney Ellis for endorsing and supporting this project to relocate and expand our forensic genetics DNA laboratory. Thank you, Commissioner. And I want to also thank Dr. Rama, who actually helped us prepare the proposal, and you will manage the project with us. Thank you. This build-out will increase the size of the lab by over 11,000 square feet, almost doubling the size of the lab. The new space will allow us to increase capacity, expand the services, and provide timely information to law enforcement and the courts. Our lab is one of the most productive DNA labs, not only in the state, but in the country, analyzing more than 2,000 cases a year. 2,000. All the testing is done in-house. We do not outsource. With a turnaround time of less than 90 days for sexual assault evidence and no backlog of untested sexual assault cases, our track record is unparalleled in the state of Texas. For the last 2 decades, yes, we have identified countless suspects, but we also have helped exonerate the innocent. The forensic work done in this institute allows us to further the county goals to increase and enhance public safety. I want to take this opportunity to recognize the specialized, talented, and dedicated professionals who work in the lab, who have consistently provided the highest level of public service for years. This group, which is here, is comprised of 53 scientists and support staff directed by Ms. Katie Welch, who is the Crime Lab Director and also the Director of the Forensic Genetics Lab, who unfortunately cannot be here today with us. The entire group is highly qualified with impressive educational backgrounds and credentials. DNA group, thank you. Thank you for everything you do every day. And I want to thank you for joining us today, and I would like to invite you to continue partnering with us on this exciting journey as we begin the design and development phase of the relocation and expansion of our world-class forensic genetics laboratory. And we look forward to providing additional services to our criminal justice stakeholders, and we are proud, very proud, to serve all the citizens of Harris County. Thank you so much. I would like at this point to ask a member of the DNA lab, Mr. Mario Galeano, to come up and summarize for us the services offered by this incredible laboratory. Mario is one of the managers that we have in the Forensic Genetics Lab.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to begin by first extending gratitude on behalf of the Forensic Genetics Laboratory towards the Congressman and also towards Commissioner Ellis and towards the Engineering Department for all of their assistance in procuring the funds that will go towards building our new laboratory space. The mission of the Forensic Genetics Laboratory is to provide the justice system with the highest quality state-of-the-art serology and DNA testing, and we look forward to continuing that mission at the new laboratory space when construction is completed. The Forensic Genetics Laboratory is one of 5 distinct sub-disciplines within the Crime Laboratory Service of the Institute of Forensic Sciences. We are responsible for providing forensic DNA testing services for more than 50 law enforcement agencies within Harris County and surrounding counties. Because the Institute is an integrated multidisciplinary agency, we also work closely with the Medical Examiner Service and Forensic Anthropology to assist with identification of bodily remains. The majority of our caseload, however, does consist of forensic cases submitted by law enforcement. We direct our resources primarily to crimes against person, which represent the greatest concern to public safety, with sexual assaults, homicides, and death investigations given highest priority, followed by robberies and assaults. We also reserve a portion of our caseload for select property crimes, such as burglaries and theft. In 2022, we received 2,297 case submissions. 40% of those cases consist of sexual assaults, while 19% were classified as homicides or death investigations. Assaults and robberies accounted for 22% of our caseload, and property crimes 12%. The smallest portion at 7% are miscellaneous cases categorized as other. In a typical year, as Dr. Sanchez mentioned, the Forensic Genetics Laboratory receives 2,000 to 3,000 total case submissions, and we routinely close a similar level of cases. As you can see, based on the data that's shown here, we've completed more cases than were submitted in 3 out of the last 5 years. Thank you. But, as you inspect the figure, keep in mind, a case represents a broad range of potential complexity. It can be 1 to 3 samples in a burglary case, or it can be over 50 evidence items submitted in a single homicide case. So to get a better sense of the workload that we complete, or that the team completes on an annual basis, that level of work requires 20 to 30,000 individual DNA sample test tubes that are moved through the laboratory from evidence submission to case closure. Furthermore, forensic DNA analysis is intricate, painstaking work. It demands rigorous attention to detail and accepts a small margin for error. This work could only be accomplished through a dedicated team of qualified professionals, technicians, DNA analysts, and managerial leadership, all working together in concert towards a common goal. There isn't a single case that gets closed without a team effort to support that, in the same spirit that the Congressman mentioned. Our case backlog was at its height in July 2016, when it reached nearly 5,000 cases. Within a span of 6 years, the Forensic Genetics Laboratory has driven that down to its current level below 1,000 cases. By concentrating on crimes against person, our average turnaround time for sexual assault cases is currently 81 days, and for homicides and death investigations, 96 days. Our success in managing that backlog is the result of multiple strategies: continuous streamlining of laboratory processes, implementing a case acceptance policy that focuses our efforts towards the most probative evidence items, hiring a dedicated case management supervisor to monitor cases throughout the testing process, developing an improved case database to provide real-time tracking of case progress, communicating with submitting agencies to close cases where testing is no longer required, and of course, numerous hours of overtime. Lots of people, lots of dedicated scientists working past the regular hours and on weekends towards closing these cases. As a public accredited crime laboratory, the Forensic Genetics Laboratory participates in the Combined DNA Index System, which is the national DNA database administered by the FBI, otherwise known as CODIS. CODIS is a repository for DNA profiles derived from crime scene evidence, convicted offender samples, arrestees, unidentified human remains, and other eligible sample types. But more importantly, CODIS serves as a lead generation tool for law enforcement agencies. Since the beginning of our participation in CODIS, the Genetics Laboratory has entered over 25,000 total DNA profiles into the database and obtained nearly 8,000 convicted offender hits. in which an unknown DNA profile from a crime scene item is directly linked to a known convicted offender. Our CODIS entries have also generated more than 2,400 case-to-case hits in which DNA profiles from different investigations are linked together to provide investigative information to law enforcement agencies. I'd also like to take a second to highlight one of the unique features of the Forensic Genetics Laboratory, which is the Trace DNA Evidence Collection Team, which is a group of specially trained scientists who attend select death scenes to collect trace-level evidence from bodies that have been dumped, bound, or suspected to have been in close contact with an unknown perpetrator. The origin of this unit was the recognition that the delicate nature of trace-level evidence requires expertise on scene at the most critical moment when preservation of this evidence is most opportune. This team operates on a rotating on-call basis, performing their collection duties in addition to their regular daily laboratory functions, oftentimes doing so in the same day. Over the past 5 years, the Trace DNA Evidence Collection Team routinely attends 50 to 100 different death scenes per year, including scenes for the Houston Police Department and Harris County Sheriff's Office. And informative DNA results are obtained from approximately 50% of their caseload. So to close, I'd just like to simply restate our gratitude on behalf of the Forensic Genetics Laboratory, again, towards the Commissioner and the Congressman. And we thank you very much for your support for the work that we do. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Give him another hand, please. Now, if you are associated with the forensic project, would you kindly stand? I'd just like to see the number of people here who are associated with the project. Please stand.
All the DNA, all the members of the lab.
Okay, give them a hand, please. Now, in just a moment, we will present the symbolic check. And at that time, I'd like to have all of you on the stage with us. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, let's take some Q&A from the press, and then we'll invite you up. So please kindly take your seats at this time. It's difficult to see your hands, press, because the lights are quite blinding, to be quite candid with you. So if you'll speak out, I think I can hear you and identify you, and we'll take your question.
Okay, see the hands. Just yell out.
Speak loudly, please.
When will renovations begin?
Say again.
When will the new renovations begin?
The new renovations. All right, we'll yield to someone else.
Dr. Ron, county engineer.
Good morning, Milton Romano County Engineer. The construction will start first quarter of 2025 and complete at the end of 2025. The project already started with the procurement phase, we advertised the request for qualification for the designer.
Another question? Speak loudly.
None for the back.
Yes.
None for the back.
You said?
None for the back.
No additional questions? All right, well, it's not unusual for us to give a thorough presentation. So let's have all of the persons who stood previously to come up and stand on the stage right near the center. Please come forward at this time and take your time coming up, please. Just come right up. Stand over here. I'll allow someone else to tell you who should be up front, but I do believe the taller people should be in the rear. So come right up, please. Come right up. Come right up. Don't be shy. Come right up. Come right up, please. Don't be shy. Come right up. Come right up. Come right up, please. All right, you may have to act like you know each other. Stand a little closer. Some more on this end, please.
Excuse me.
Some persons are shift, some other persons down on this end, please. Just walk past the persons who are standing. Come on down. Okay. Now, if you are standing behind someone and you cannot be seen by the camera, you should adjust yourself. Anyone whose face cannot be seen by the camera, that camera in the center, hold your hand up, sir. He looks official. I don't know what he is. Okay, you have a beard, that makes you official. All right. Okay, very good. And Commissioner, are you in the center of the stage? Okay, I want the Commissioner in the center. Doctor, you should move over, please. Go over to where the Commissioner is. All right. All of the persons who spoke today should move over near the Commissioner. Okay. All right. Now, excuse me, just a moment, friends. Rachel, can you see, would you move to the center to see if you can see everyone, Rachel? If not, we'd like to start adjusting people.
Okay. Next to you, Dr. Sanchez, is the young lady who cannot see her face. I think if you just move there, there you go. Yes. Excellent.
Is that it, Rachel? Is that it, Rachel?
Yes,
Okay, press, are you okay? Say yes, please.
Yes, please.
Very good. All right, friends, at this time I will move over to the doctor. Doctor, I assume you and the commissioner's hands will be on the check. That's the way it works. And I will present. All right, at this time it's my honor to present this check for $12,000, symbolic check, I might add. For $12 million, thank you. $12,164,000 to the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, and I'm proud to do so on behalf of all of the members of the Houston congressional delegation. I do this with the understanding that, as you put it, Doctor, this is the first, but if I have my way, it will not be the last, and we want the next one to be bigger, so that people get better things. I'm proud to do that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'll do a countdown.
You're looking at the light.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everybody.
Sign your name on it, like y'all right here. Put on it, it can be done.
First name is Mario, M-A-R-I-O. Last name is Galliano,
Supposed to have the holiday video.